So I was talking to some ladies today, and I can't remember how we got talking about it, but I asked them the old question that I love giving people to like rock their world, which is, I lay it out and say that the air we breathe closest to sea level, it's 14.7 pounds per square inch of pressure. And I give them is there any scientific evidence of gas pressure existing without the necessary antecedent of containment, right? It's a question that's created by the likes of Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser, all those guys, the ball busters. And, some of them, it got to thinking, like I was like, how do we have pressure? I explained them, I asked them if they know how gas works, how gas pressure works, all of that. What space is described as, and how would it be possible if there is no barrier for us to have gas pressure. And you can see it sparking confusion, but also curiosity and a little bit of wonder. Some of them don't care that much, but one of them, she had something to say, but then it kind of trailed off, and I asked her if she'd thought about it more, like after a couple minutes, and she's like, yeah, until I look into it more myself, I'm just going to accept what people say. And I was like, so you accept authority? And she said yes. And the funny thing about that is it's not about the question, it's the acceptance of authority that our young people are so quick to do. And that's because of the way they've been groomed in universities and all that stuff. And it gets to a deeper level of biology and just character traits between men and women that we will not be able to get rid of in anytime soon, because this is how we've evolved as a species. And it's that women are biologically programmed to submit and to accept authority. They're biologically programmed to be communitarian and egalitarian and all that stuff. They're good at dividing up resources, and it works great amongst a family, right? She's divvying up things between kids. To a maybe a lesser degree, it could sometimes work if you're living in a community or like a tribe and everybody's got their function to help the tribe survive, in those primitive times, great. But in the times for now, this biological framework does not serve us in terms of civilization in a nation. Because when you try to control people's free will and divvy up resources that you had nothing to do with getting, and it's like you're trying to control someone else's life, it creates chaos and it creates slavery. And when you have women controlling your nations, which is largely what you see, whether it's women or feminine men, very effeminate. I mean, you're lucky to find any politician who's not an effeminate individual. And same goes in like the media. If you see who is controlling the media, it's an effeminate race. It's not alpha male. It's not masculinity. There's none of that. Well, when you have your nation controlled by feminine people, you're going to get more communist, egalitarian, everybody gets a trophy, right? The destruction of competition, the de-incentivization of ingenuity, because who wants to work hard and create new things when it's just going to be taken away from them by a corrupt feminine government and divvied up amongst useless people who do nothing. And they're going to divvy that up as they see fit. And they're going to decide who owns your property and what you pay for taxes on your property. And so you end up owning nothing. And that's their that's their catchline, right? Own nothing and be happy. But the female is never satiated because she is biologically hypergamous. So the only time that hypergamy can be tamed is when she sees you as her best option. And so the Unbearables did a really funny meme the other day, that it was like a drawing of Ira. And if you know who Ira is, it's a hilarious archetype, Ira Roth. And the meme said, "I own everything and I'm still not happy." Because that is what the hypergamous nature of females is designed to do. Because she has to look out for her children and all that stuff. And like I said, it works really good for the family unit, but it doesn't work good for a nation or a modern civilization. So people need to think about the biological framework and psychology of individuals before you allow any type of business or any type of nation that requires impartiality and the rule of law and freedom. You need to consider who you're going to let control that. And if you let people who default to emotionalism control that, you're going to lose everything. And you're going to live in a nation that has no prosperity. And the places that you see that are rejecting this nonsense, they're starting to thrive now. So we have two choices. We can keep going down this road of ignoring reality and human biology and human nature and align with it and get everything back on, or we're going to fail as a society. And that collapse is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. And quite honestly, I think it needs to happen. But if we choose to align with reality, all you have to do is relax all the red tape and you'll see ingenuity in this country come alive like you've never seen it before. But as it stands, the people controlling the government have stifled that. And it's not that a body of government in your local area is bad, right? Like agreeing to certain principles and certain framework that we're going to live by in this area. But right now we have people who don't live in certain areas controlling what other people do with their lives, and they're not even in those communities or not even anywhere in those states. And so it's as it stands, it's like tying everybody's hands behind their back and then, you know, asking why they can't work better, why they can't create more. And it's like, well, you need to unshackle them. You need to let freedom reign. You need to let people live their lives on their terms, even the ones you don't see eye to eye with. As long as it's not, obviously if it's in your area and you don't want it, then yeah, you don't tolerate it. But this idea that you have to tolerate all these lifestyles that you couldn't care less about, while they basically decide what they're going to do with your spoils and the fruits of your labor, it's antithetical to freedom. And a lot of our problems will get solved with freedom. Even if you don't have the solutions, the best solution is not to try to control people, because when you control people, it creates chaos. So hope this finds you well. If you're interested in these subjects and you want to see what's really going on in this world, read SpiritWhirled. It's a series that I have. Read Get Mad or Get Realistic. It's a book that I published earlier this year. And then check out my fantasy series, which is my effort to incorporate all of these things into a fun action-adventure story that I can then one day make into film or TV. And if my fiction starts getting more support, I'll go back to writing fiction, but right now it's not worth, there's no return on my investment, so I have to create something else that will sustain me before I can go back to fiction. But I do want to go back to fiction because I think in allegory you can tell the most truth and you can teach the best lessons. And there's been some amazing fiction stories that I've read growing up or been a part of, experienced, and it had a profound impact on my life and made me the man that I am today. So I will ultimately prefer to go back to fiction and all that stuff. But hope this finds you well, and I'll talk to you next time. Later.